name is Lincoln Salazar, CEO and publisher of Cigar and Spirits Magazine, and I'm sitting here with no other than Ian Somerhalder as well as Paul Wesley as we're here talking about Brothers Bond Bourbon. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We're here in Malibu, California. Guys, tell me about this beautiful bourbon that you guys have here. A little different of a shoot that we're having today.
Yeah,
Just
right.
that we're here outdoors. We're trying to find a nice place to sip. This is some beautiful bourbon that you guys have.
Thank you, thank you.
Tell me how this all came to fruition and how you guys came together to put together this bourbon together.
Yeah, Smoldy?
I mean, look, this one and I spent
Too long together.
We spent 8 years on a television show, but then the last 3 years. So we've been together 11 years. It's my longest relationship.
Yeah, that's right.
But
and the only way to get through that is to drink lots of bourbon.
I hear you.
So we're connoisseurs now.
Tremendous amounts of bourbon.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, man, honestly, listen, this TV show, we were, stars of this show.
Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, which is huge.
It was
Huge
a
show.
very successful show, and what's great about it is the brothers bonded on screen with bourbon. Paul and I bonded off screen with bourbon. It was the only way we could tolerate each other.
It felt like a natural fit. So when the show, we had been talking about doing a bourbon for, ever since the existence of the show first came to fruition, and we just decided it's really good. It's really smooth, even neat. It's smooth. And we decided to wait until the show was over. We have more time, and we can really, birth this thing. And
well, we knew it was going to take a lot of time, and honestly, man, we spent 60, sometimes 80 hours on a set, and then we flew every weekend. I also knew that my wife and I were going to be having a baby soon. We said, let's just do this when because we need to put everything into it. And lo and behold, we put everything into it. This is an all day, every day thing.
Where's it made? Tell me, where's it made? What made you guys? What made you decide bourbon too? By the way, because you could have done kind of Scotch, you could have got into vodka, you got into gin.
Right.
Why bourbon?
Well, bourbon, it's what our characters drank in a historic fictional town of Mystic Falls, Virginia,
which is in the South. But we also for me anyway, my palate, I prefer bourbon.
I prefer bourbon.
That's sort of my.
It's like in our veins at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately for us. Fortunately.
Fortunately, I mean, it's an amazing spirit. Look, you have this spirit that uses a lot of the practices of what they were doing back in the motherland, in Ireland and in Scotland, but using what the frontiersmen had, which is a ton of corn, wheat, barley, and rye, and so you get this sweet nectar of a spirit, right? We're drinking this right out of the bottle. It's just special.
It's fantastic, neat.
Thanks.
It really is top notch. And so how do you come up with the name Brothers Bond?
It was a lot of back and forth. I remember.
It's a beautiful name, by the way.
Thank you.
Especially with Cigar and Spirits Magazine, we always speak about camaraderie, and brotherhood, and being gentlemen. So I really fell in love with the name Brothers Bond when Randy, our editor, told us about it.
I mean, it's the ethos. Obviously, we're brothers, right? We're brothers in real life. We're brothers on screen. We were brothers on screen. But the ethos of the brand, other than the fact that Brothers Bond has an amazing ring to it, is the ethos is a community. We created this bourbon so that people can enjoy it together. We want this to serve as a bond between either your family, your friends, your loved ones, your partner, whatever it is. We want to create a sense of community. We want Brothers Bond, the ethos of this company, to be a sense of togetherness. And
it's about community.
And we thought it was just like the perfect name. I remember when we came up with the name, I think we had been talking about it for forever, and then I think it was like middle of the night, like Brothers Bond, that's it,
Yeah. Well, we also too,
were you guys bonding? I mean, at that time it was like 3 in
I
the morning,
rolled
4
over.
in the morning.
Ian, wake up!
Well, no, what it was, to be honest with you, we started this company at such a breakneck speed, and we had a huge meeting with one of the single biggest retailers in the world, and we had been going over all these names, and we kept talking about these things. It's community in a time when we need togetherness more than any other time in history, pretty much. This was the name that we settled on, and literally the next morning, it went out to these huge retailers, and they loved it. And we went, whew. All right, the name works. But we had literally just settled on it.
But ultimately, neither one of us, I'll speak for myself, I'll speak for both of us, would have really signed up or put our names on this if we didn't believe in it. Whether it's the label, the name, and certainly the product and the juice.
Yeah.
You know, we really believe in it. We spent a lot of time developing it. So everything you see, whether it's, you know, the color, the font, the writing, the shape of the bottle, this is all stuff that Ian and I created.
This is all
Yeah.
every
Which
single
is,
nuance.
you know, there's a lot of you know,
Nuance.
endorsements that these days, right? It's become a bit of a fad, and for us, it's not an endorsement. You know, it's just something that we really, you know, created together. So I'm
Paul,
glad
it's, you know,
enjoy it.
it's definitely, it's not celebrity driven, it's celebrity owned. And Paul and I try
Are
not
you
to.
calling yourself a
I
celebrity?
was about to say, I'm calling
He loves
you.
to call himself a
No, I
celebrity.
don't. Actually, that's what's so funny. We actually typically don't use that word, but for all intents and purposes, it's
Well, there's a stigma. There's a stigma.
it's what you are,
you know.
Paul.
Thanks,
Just-
buddy.
just,
There's a,
you
no,
know.
but there's a stigma. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, these two actors have a bourbon. What do they know about bourbon?
You
know,
guys are
so-
also from the South, right?
Well, he is.
I am.
South, yeah.
I'm a Jersey boy.
A Jersey boy.
Not quite
Okay.
the South, but I lived in the South
Yeah.
We
for
lived
a
in
decade.
Atlanta.
Yeah, so
We
we
lived in
shot
Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you were around bourbon all the time.
Yeah, big time.
It's a brown spirits town. It's a brown spirits place. And the thing about it is, listen, I love spirits in general. I think the art of making a spirit is amazing. And people, like you just asked, why didn't you do a gin? Why didn't you do a vodka? Why didn't you do a scotch? I mean, obviously, this is the most authentic piece to us. And I say this in all humility, but there isn't another company out there right now with the level of IP, 11 years of IP tied to this brand.
Yeah.
That's also too speaks not to us, through us, for us, but bourbon, as you know, guys, being in this bourbon business or in the spirits business, is the most laborious, capital-intensive spirit you can. You can make gin and vodka, which is amazing spirits, very easily. Aged brown spirits, that's a whole other
It's a
level.
big. It's an undertaking. For
And
sure.
so, and the artistry is not just in doing a new fill into barrels. The artistry comes in the blending. And this guy and I spent literally over a year obsessing about that flavor profile.
How many different tastings do you guys do? How long do you think till you guys tasted? You
No, hundreds, dude.
Yeah.
It was over a year.
Yeah, we
Hundreds.
were for a long time, and we got
So-
fortunate enough to work. We were guided by a master blender, and he sort of helped guide us. And Ian, you know, came in with a lot of knowledge as well, and kind of, frankly, you know, taught me a lot about bourbon, about the making of bourbon that I didn't quite understand. So, yeah, it's a whole newfound appreciation for it. That's for sure.
It's really just become such a love of it. I mean, we're really. By the way, this is the closest we've been in a year because of COVID.
Oh, well, yeah.
But we at least
Should I be concerned?
No, we no. The two of us, we know because we just went to dinner together that we're good and tested and safe and all that stuff. But this is our dream, man. I mean, being able to sit and talk to you good people about this liquid that we have worked so hard on to bring it to the world. And again, listen, I say this again in all humility. We wanted to do something at scale, but it's craft and quality, but at scale. We want a lot of people around the world being able to experience this together, to have conversations, to strengthen bonds, both new and old.
There's a cause that's connected to the brand as well.
Yeah.
What's that? The
Sorry.
cause that's connected with that?
I mean, you know, Paul and I have done a lot of advocacy around the globe for years and years and years in the animal space and in all sorts of spaces. And one of the things that we realized is that regenerative agriculture can actually pull us away from this climate crisis by it's called through a process called biosequestration, but basically drawing down all the carbon dioxide from the air using living plants, agriculture, and storing it safely back in the ground where it belongs, and healing the soil. It's a big swing and it's a big deal, right? So as an agricultural company, Paul and I want to put our money where our mouth is and make sure that we are investing in that future, which is, you know, you're never going to find an argument with helping farmers, building farmer
100%.
prosperity, creating cleaner water, cleaner air.
Yeah, and one of the things Ian always says that I very much agree with is that these days you can't really start a company. You can start a company, but it's sort of our moral responsibility to start a company and to give back a portion of our profits
Absolutely.
Towards a cause. You know, I feel like that's sort of something that we all need to do. And you know, I don't know if I would feel comfortable starting a company and not giving a percentage of the proceeds towards something we believe in.
Is there a place they can find more information out on the cause and everything else that you guys are doing?
Yeah,
actually
on our website,
website now.
brothersbondbourbon.com. Yeah, which just launched fairly recently.
Launched last week, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
and it crashed after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, it was right at 10 minutes.
That's a good
There's so
problem.
many
It is
people.
a
Yeah.
good
That's a great problem.
Yeah, it's a good
Which,
problem.
but again, you know, it goes back to community. This is about community, and gentlemen and ladies can sit and enjoy a drink or a cigar or a conversation, but being together.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to hit that nail on the head so many times, but man, in a time where we need togetherness more than ever, now is the time for what what we're doing.
So, like we talked about with Cigar and Spirits, we talked about a lot of camaraderie, legacy. What is the legacy? We talked, about your guys' organization, but what is the legacy you guys would like this? The question I like to ask everyone is: fast forward, hopefully another 100 years. What's the legacy that you guys would like to leave behind together and also individually?
Healthy
I
planet.
mean, yeah, well, that's for sure. If we can help contribute to a healthy planet, amazing. I also, just for me, I think I want the Brothers Bond name to go beyond Ian and myself. I want Brothers Bond to exist on its own, and I think that all sort of spirits, in my opinion, should be shared and should be drank. We should be drinking them with someone, and I really hope that this is like a new category of bourbon that is that it opens up, I should say, bourbon to a new category of people. Whether female, younger, male, older, whatever it is, we want everyone to enjoy it. That's the legacy that I would like for Brothers Bond.
Bringing people together over this spirit and paving a way, a new road for, we bring in a completely different demographic that wasn't typically drinking bourbon. And millennials now, not only do they want to know that where they're spending their hard-earned money is going to someplace good, but also too that it's something to do together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes us really proud.
You guys smoke cigars, right? Quite often.
do.
You
Yeah.
guys are
I
cigar
smoke cigars.
smokers, right?
Well, it goes hand in
And
hand.
were you pairing cigars though when you guys were going through the bourbon process at all?
We had a
We
lot of
had a lot of
cigars.
cigars.
We had a
A lot of nights by the fireplace, smoking a cigar and sipping, tasting bourbon. Yeah.
So last question, most memorable drinking moment you guys had together?
Do you remember we were in England and we were in that like crazy old haunted manor, and we were smoking cigars and just hanging out? This was like a decade ago. Do you remember that, man? That was, and I remember I just remember that moment.
That was pretty
so
special.
vividly. Yeah.
We were drinking bourbon. We were walking around. It's one of the oldest castles left in the UK that's functioning, right?
Oh, wow.
1307 this thing was built. And there is some real energy there. I mean, it's like you feel stuff. Paul and I had a bottle of bourbon. We had cigars. And we walked. It was really cold and misty, like truly,
It was like something out of Vampire Diaries.
It was like something out of Vampire. And we were just talking and connecting, and we drank this bottle, and we smoked. We were drinking Syrah D number 4s. We were smoking Partagas Syrah D number 4s, and it was one of the most memorable times that I remember. And I just remember, man, just thinking, this is our life. This is my brother. We're talking about real stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And that's what it does.
Yeah.
And drinking American bourbon, in the English countryside.
Well, wonderful, guys. Thank you so much for your time today.
Cheers, brother.
Looking forward to a great shoot.
Thank
Cheers.
you very much.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Brother.
Cheers.